Hello, everybody. How's it going, everybody? It's me, Comic Crack. Tylox the Mighty. How you doing, man? Welcome. Um, I missed most of the hangout today. It was Lillian's birthday. It was on the first, actually, and this was the best day to have our kind of family party. So I missed most of the chat. I'm glad I managed to make it for, I don't know, about the last hour or so, which is great. I do find myself kind of missing it when I do have to miss a week, where it's not on or whatever happens. So I thought it was going to be 2 weeks in a row without a comic chat. So thankfully, I got to kind of scratch that itch for a bit there. Um, Gonna do a couple of things today. I think it feels like this weekly comics wrap up is turning into more than just comics. So I don't know. Maybe I start calling it a weekly wrap up or something. I don't really know because we got some movies to talk about as usual. Got some music to talk about this time, that's going to be a different something new. That'll kind of hit me when it hits me. I've had a big there's been a few albums I've heard over the past week. What is it? It's Sunday. Yeah. So over the past week that have really just hit me in a real positive way. So I wanted to share some of that with you all as well. Um, so maybe we'll just start with the things that we watched. I don't remember if we talked about this. I know we've talked about the movie, but over Halloween, my son and I have been doing the weekly crack fix. There you go. Hey Ragamuffin, how you doing? Um, we've been doing the Criterion Collection movies. So over Halloween, we thought we'd do look at kind of the ghost story section of the Criterion stuff that I have. And much to my pleasure, my son picked out Houseu, and 1977, 88 minutes, and it's phenomenal. I know we've talked about it on the channel before. Basically, a movie mostly written by the director's 10-year-old daughter at the time. And it is just an absolutely wild movie. It's funny seeing it again. I've seen it a few times. Seeing it again, still how unusual the whole goddamn thing is. It's still in 2021. It's still a very odd film. It has a lot more. There was this time I watched it. The director comes from the world of commercials, and you can really see that in here. There's some almost moments. It's almost like you're watching a YouTube video where you're getting a chunk of the story, and it's kind of interrupted by these very unusual commercial breaks with some of the characters basically from the movie itself. A group of girls who go traveling to see this one girl's aunt. Her mom has been dead for a long time. She's kind of having her dad wants to remarry, and she's kind of having a moment where she now wants to kind of bond with her aunt again. And the aunt and everything just goes nuts there, basically, from the house being haunted. And like I said, it's just such an unusual flick. So much fun. But I still don't think I've seen much that really compares to House. Hey J-Rock, how you doing? It's well worth checking out there, Ragamuffin. And then last night we kind of went back to we left off at kind of the Seijun Suzuki part in the DVDs, or in the Blu-rays rather, of Criterion. So we watched probably my favorite Suzuki movie, Branded to Kill. This one is black and white. So Branded to Kill and Tokyo Drifter are the two that kind of first got released by Criterion. Tokyo Drifter we spoke about before here, and it's in color. This is the movie that finally got him fired from Nikatsu as a director. And again, it was another one. I've seen this so many times, but watching it again, every single time there's still stuff that really stands out to me. And watching it this time, there's some parts that are so kind of It's because the transitions. So what it comes down to is the transitions between scenes, the transitions in the middle of a scene. He doesn't really go for any sort of linear storytelling. You may see someone jump out of a car and they take a shot at somebody, and it's this cut to a roof, and somebody falls off the roof, but you have no spatial relation as to where they are in the world. Um, but it's so amazing. But it really is his most kind of art house. It's his most art house film for sure. And there's just some incredible stuff that goes on in here. It's the basic story is he's a hired killer, and there's a group of assassins, and they're all kind of numbered. So he is number 3, and it turns into a story of who is the number 1 killer, and how do you become the number 1 killer. But in there's a relationship with a couple of women that he has. It's Joe Shishido is the main actor in here. And I think I spoke about it before. Joe Shishido was this kind of studio actor who wanted to set himself apart from all of the other actors. So he had these implants put into his cheekbones to give him kind of these chipmunkish type of cheeks. So he would look completely different than everybody else. And it worked. He has an unusual look to him. But I mean, I can't really do it justice. Some of the things in it are just so stunning, and just so different. I don't think I said a year. So this is 1967. There's a whole bunch of extras on this. Interview with Suzuki from 97. Interview with the director and the assistant director. There's an interview with the actor Joe Shishido. There's trailers, subtitles, and of course you saw the flipping through the book. So because that put me in a headspace, I figured we'd do a double feature. And another one that I remember it twisted my head around when I first saw it. I do now have the box set. It's the Female Comic Scorpion series. It's the complete collection. There's 4 movies. The first one is Prisoner 701. Next one is Jailhouse 41. Then is Be Stable. Then is Grudge Song. 701's Grudge Song. And there's a book that comes with it. There's actually a poster and stuff that comes with this box set too. So the very first movie that I saw from this series was Female Comic Scorpion, Jailhouse 41. No, it wasn't DIY plastic surgery. He went to a doctor, but the doctor was sort of not quite botched it up, but eventually when he had to get them taken out of his face, and it left these big scars under his cheeks. That ever since he was just very, even in interviews he talks about it, he was very self-conscious of it. So I think that it might have gotten infected, which is why he eventually had to take them out. But an odd choice, basically. So this was a manga. Sasori was the manga. I found it online, and I was able to download it digitally and read most of it on my computer. Really great. Yeah, there's some similarities for sure, but this movie. So I figured we'd do a double feature. He was really into. Well, it's sometimes hard with my son to know exactly if he's really responding to it. I think he really enjoyed Branded to Kill, and he says he really enjoyed this one too. So the thing with this movie here is its ability to kind of cross genres and genre hop. It kind of starts out as a women in prison film, then it kind of transitions to almost like a spaghetti western, couple spaghetti western type moments. Then there's a ghost story element. Then there's this kind of revenge story. It's with a lot of these Japanese movies, I find especially, this is 1972 for this one. With a lot of these older Japanese movies, when they do the studio, they really did like a Mario Bava to the extreme, where they really changed the color of the lighting and did a lot of stuff in studio transitions. There's one fantastic scene where this old woman dies, and she gives her knife So Sasori or Scorpion, Miko Kaji plays the part, stands up with the knife, and all of a sudden the colors change around here in this forest. All the leaves start blowing, and there's a fan basically under her that has her hair start blowing straight up and down. It's an incredible scene, just with all of that work that goes into it. And it again, it's another one that it still stands the test of time for me. So there's a hardcover book that comes with it here as well too. Hello, Gore Vidal. Evening, CK. Sorry I missed the show. Let me put this up here. Picked up Multiple Warheads by Brandon Graham from the early 2000s. Yes, recommend it. I'm also rereading the Meta Baron sequels. Oh, sweet. Yeah, Multiple Warheads was great from what I remember. Nice to have you there, Mr. Vidal. So kind of a look at some of there's some photos in here and with some essays that get written up as well too. The other surprise for me with the second movie was Kayla Janice has a little video piece in it as well. I'm waiting. I pre-ordered a documentary that she put together about folk horror, so The Witch, etc., The Wicker Man, that sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to that coming. She used to work at the Alamo Draft House, apparently, and she lived here for a time. And actually, she's the one I've talked about before who brought that house movie here to Winnipeg before Criterion had put it out. So beautiful stuff, some art there. And I'll just show you the poster and then we'll move on. But again, these Arrow Video is a phenomenal company. For those movie buffs out there, anything Arrow is always worth having, and this is no exception. So there's the one side of the poster, and then the other side that comes with the box set there. So really nice package, really nice bunch of stuff. And then just the other movies. So Grudge Song, Beast Stable, and the first one, Scorpion. I think the manga is called Sasori, Sasori. I don't think I have it on this computer because I bought a hard drive just to transfer a bunch of stuff. Hey, AFPC, how you doing? So I don't have it on the computer. Otherwise, I'd show you some stills. But have a dig there, Ragamuffin. I can't remember where I found it from. I think I just did a search for Sasori torrents or manga, and something came up. I do have some Conan. It's a newer one for me as well there, Glowing Turtle. I've been getting into Conan, and I've been getting into Cull, reading a little bit of Red Sonja. I've been reading the Ablaze Conan stuff, which has been really, really great. The European kind of take on it. The Sumerian, I think is how you say it. I always have to second guess myself. So it's been really good. So I would recommend those. But I mean, I would pass on the same advice that Damien passed to me. If you have an opportunity, if you're seeing like the Conan magazines, especially, flip through it and see if you respond to the art, pick up the ones where you really respond to the art and give those ones a try. If you're unable to kind of flip through them before you buy them, I mean, I find that those Conan magazines especially are everywhere. I don't think I've ever gone to a convention, a big convention, a small convention, a comic shop where I haven't seen at least a half a dozen Conan magazines. It's usually a lot more, and they're usually fairly cheap, $1 or $2, like ones that are beaten up anyway. So, I mean, I would give some of those a shot. So that's the movie update. So I thought we'd talk about some music here. So back before, when Wendy Carlos was still called Walter Carlos, famous for the Clockwork Orange soundtrack. Sorry, I thought I just heard someone coming downstairs. Famous for the Clockwork Orange soundtrack, but also famous for Switched On Bach. So Switched On Bach #1, um, and then Switched On Bach #2. And it's kind of, it's not kind of, it's synthesizer versions of Bach music. And these were so popular that it spawned kind of an enormous amount of other stuff. So one of the other ones that Wendy Carlos now did was Switched On Brandenburg's The Complete Concertos. It's a double LP set on this beautiful silver. And the classical stuff, like I don't mind it. I find every time I hear Wendy Carlos classical Switched On stuff, I immediately just think of Clockwork Orange. It's hard not to. It has that kind of flavor to it. But anyway, so some of the other stuff, we've been listening to this around the house lately. Switched On Burt Bacharach tunes played on the Moog synthesizer by Christopher Scott. This is a really good one. We listened to this one tonight. And then one that I've only listened to one time previous, once or twice before. We listened to it tonight, and it's really underrated, I think, in the kind of switched on country. This is a fantastic, surprisingly good record. There's some unreal songs on here. Green Grass of Home is really good. The hit, I think, that got all of our attentions was I Walk the Line, with its synthesized kind of robotic voice that comes up throughout the song. And then just one of the other Switched On. This is Switched On Rock, the Moog Machine. Again, really fun stuff. So Jumpin' Jack Flash, for example, Yummy 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 is on here. Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In, Hey Jude. It seems like the Beatles get covered a lot on kind of these Moog albums, obviously. So I'm showing you those Switched On because we're going to screen share here and talk about something that I picked up on Friday, I think. So let me figure out how to do this here. Go to Window, click on this one. So Sun Ra, the jazz player Sun Ra. So there's this band Bitchin' Bajas that you're seeing on your screen here. They just released this album on Friday. I ordered the cassette and then got it digital as well too. Switched On Ra, and it's Sun Ra in kind of like a synth extravaganza, and it's a fantastic album. For me, the highlight would be track 5 here, Languidity. I just listened to the Sun Ra album, Languidity, recently too, and it's really great. I don't know much Sun Ra. My son is really into Sun Ra. He's read a biography. He's listened to a boatload of his albums. So we listened to this one together, and he really enjoyed this one too. It's very different versions, obviously, but that's what you're going to get when you deal with electronic music. So this was really fun, and it came from there was somebody on Twitter had just kind of posted this SIP Prezano. So I listened to this, and that kind of led to the Tabs Out podcast. There's this kind of experimental noise type of podcast. Like I said, it's called Tabs Out, and they review and kind of play samples from a whole bunch of stuff. 90% of it you can find on Bandcamp. So I listened to this, and this is gorgeous. I think I sent it to Gore Vidal as well too. Side B, I ordered this tape as well too, and then you get the digital right away. Side B, this Cathedral Blues and Seneca Falls, I think, are my favorite 2 tracks out of it. This is just really, really mellow, kind of synth-driven music with some gorgeous artwork here on the tape itself. So I'm really looking forward to getting the physical copy. So Pete Prezano, modular synthesizer, melodica. Jimmy Lacey, synthesizer, drum box, percussion. The first time that they've played together or recorded together. And I really hope that there's more. So based out of Chicago, Illinois here. So that was kind of the Switched On link. And then something that I'd been listening to recently. So I follow a couple of black metal accounts on YouTube. Um, is it called just Black Metal Productions? I can't remember what the channel is called. He does a lot of like live streaming of newer albums. And he played. There was a live stream of this Circle of Ouroboros new album, Chiromantia, and I think they're Finnish. I think they're from Finland. These guys been around for about 14 years apparently. First time I heard of them. So when it comes to kind of black metal itself is pretty fucking odd already. But the stuff that I usually respond to within kind of black metal is the stuff that even the black metal fans think is too strange. There's this kind of woozy feeling that some good black metal albums can do with guitars that are slightly out of tune, the way they kind of soar. It's almost like they're hitting a note and bending it, or you know, like it's really this quality. This album had it. By the time I got to the end, was listening to it kind of live, like I said. But by the time we got to track 10, you just kind of have this almost like swaying kind of feeling to it. This was a really impressive album. The vocals were very different, and turned a lot of people off that were listening live. But it turned me on to this His Wounds label here. And I started listening to a couple other ones. So they're based out of Greece. This band is a band from Canada, an indigenous black metal band. There's bands from all over the place. Mulla here is another one. Panzer War. Let me just see here. Let's go down. Just bear with me. Hopefully this is somewhat interesting. It's just this stuff has really had an impact on me today. That I just wanted to talk about. It'll probably make an appearance on the next Dead Air radio show. Here we go. So the pain of a nation, meaning archangel in the Micmac language, thrives in true agonizing torment, indigenous depressive black metal, the voice of a people suffering through conquest and marginalization. This album, it's not so bad. It's an all right one. But it's this other album by this band who I won't even try to pronounce. This is the one that really hit me. This is a fantastic one, this Alaskan Escape. Really great kind of graphics. You know, you have to have desolate landscapes. It's only a 4-song EP, but well worth checking out. And the good thing with some of these smaller companies is right here, like 75% off. So for 14.25 euros, you can get their full discography, which is 36 releases. So if you're into that sort of thing, go for that. The other one that blew me away was this Graf Skympf. I'm not sure where they're from. No, it doesn't say. So this was a new release as well too that just came out. This is the first album from them when I started digging to look for stuff. This is a phenomenal album. Again, with more of that, like, there's this underlying kind of tone in some of the songs. I can't quite tell if it's synthesizer or if it's guitar, but that tone itself wavers. And then because this one especially, it sounds like the guitar is in some very unusual tuning or just slightly out of tune. So you're hearing these chords that are very close and reminiscent of kind of classic metal chords, but not quite there. And actually this artwork goes really well with the feeling, because again, this last track here is like, I would say that number 2 and number 6 really stood out for me. This last tune, this 8.5-minute tune, is just incredible. We listened to it tonight when I was dropping my son off again. And I absolutely love it. And again, I do realize that black metal has it's going to take a special kind of person, I guess, that's really going to get into it. It's not kind of open for everybody. The vocals usually put people off. It's a lot of like screeching and really grief-stricken, anguished vocals. But if you can get into it, I would recommend checking out this His Wounds label. This one is unbelievable. Definitely the highlight out of all of them. So let's see, stopping share here. How can I get back? There we go. Let's see. What did I miss? Sorry, I couldn't see all of the comments as we were going here. Holy smokes, I missed quite a few. AFPC, been enjoying your latest videos. Yeah, the videos have been great as usual. Score, da-da-da. In the Mail, a Criterion La Piscine, a film by Jacques Deray from 1969, starring Alain Delon. Oh, wow. Jane Birkin and Romy Schneider. Always liked Delon and The Leopard. Le Samurai is a phenomenal movie. I can't wait to get to Le Samurai with my son, actually. I'm really looking forward to seeing that one again, too. I really loved it. My favorite is Nashville Moog, rather. Oh, cool. Switched On Hair soundtrack. I've seen that one, but I've not picked it up. Look up the Bach music out of my depth with these. Can't imagine how Bacharach sounds in Moog. It's great. Honestly, the Bacharach is really, really nice. We listened to it while we had dinner tonight. I don't know if I've seen The Leopard. Yeah, Space is the Place. Let's see. Sorry, I don't want to spend too much time with this, but I do want to make sure that I'm seeing everything. Reading a space opera, yeah. Black metal, I'm listening. You know so much. Oh, Tylox, yeah. Well, that's not surprising from seeing some of your videos and some of your shirts in the past. That doesn't surprise me. Bell and Sebastian count as black metal. Well, not quite. Leviathan. Oh man, Leviathan are so great. Another one that was kind of in the realm of kind of the odd black metal was Blutos Nord was really good. They have this one, The Work Which Transforms God, just a classic for me, a classic album. Vedbuen's End, Virus. Those are some other good ones to check out. Again, it's the stuff that's a little more unusual. It doesn't follow all the rules of kind of classic black metal or what people would call cult black metal. Yeah, for sure, Gorvidal. I'll send you something. I'll send you a couple things. I'll send you a couple of suggestions. So thank you very much for humoring me with that stuff. So that's the movies, that's the music, that's a half an hour into this. So we'll talk about some comics, and we'll start with something that I didn't get a chance to talk about today, that I just finished reading before the stream. This is Blood, a Tale, the 4-issue miniseries by DeMatteis and Kent Williams. This is the Epic Comics. So it came out in Epic Comics in 87, something like that. And then I think it came out Vertigo mid 90s. And I think, has there just been a new collection of this already, or recently rather, maybe a hardcover or something? It seems like DeMatteis' stuff is getting these, because I know there was like a Moonshadow one. And I think, did the one come out as well? I gotta say, like, for a guy that I never really read, like at this point, I've read a fair number of his well, maybe not a fair number. I've read a number of his more indie kind of works. Moonshadow, I really liked. I would say this is right up there for me. This was a really, really great 4 issues. And the thing that kind of blew me away the most was this art by Kent Williams. Kent Williams? Yes, Kent Williams. All this watercolor work throughout the 4 issues. And we get this kind of, there's this sort of story that links everything about this king on his deathbed, and he's actually been dead. Well, he's pretty much been dead for about a year, and his body is slowly disintegrating. And it's an amazing story, man. Like, I don't know. Again, it's this ability to kind of draw you in. There's some really just great moments in here, but honestly, it's the storytelling and the voice that he has in this one. He has a similar voice in the one and in the other stuff that I've read, like Moonshadow and stuff. It almost has this kind of fairy tale-ish type of quality to the way he kind of structures a story and the dialogue, and the kind of every part of it. I don't know, man. It works really well for me. Um, I think this was a really great read. I remember Paulo Costa saying, I think that this was his favorite, one of his favorite comics. He left a comment on a video. I do see your comments. I don't always respond right away. I do see them though, and I do absolutely read them. I sound like a one of those big YouTube channels. Keep sending in your comments. We read every single one. Um, but he was saying he can't find his copy. This is one that I would absolutely double dip into to get Meltdown. Yeah, okay. This is absolutely one that I would double dip and get like a nice kind of hardcover version of. I got these for dirt cheap and they're beaten to hell. They've been really well loved, which is fine. But I would absolutely upgrade these. Um, Meltdown. Why do I know that one? Is that the Wolverine and somebody and Havoc or something? Meltdown? Is that like a is that what that one is? Um, so yeah, you know, and I mean, look at these pages, man. Just amazing stuff. Just amazing Havoc. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yeah. Um, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm really glad that I finally bit the bullet and grabbed it and sat and read it. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say too much about the story, but I mean, you know, I think Gore sums it up pretty well. The most unusual vampire, yeah, watercolor apparently, most unusual vampire tale that you're going to come across, and everything is kind of linked, and you know, yeah, it's great. It's really good. This is one that I could see myself going back to read, like you know, tomorrow, and I most likely will actually, just to kind of revisit a couple of things. This third issue was the one that sort of the first part of me, the first half of it anyway, sort of took me out of it a little bit. I'm glad that it didn't stick with what happens in this. It makes sense once it all kind of wraps up, but it was a little jarring and not in a good way when I started in on this third issue. But like I said, it does kind of come full circle, and it's good. So yeah, that's Blood a Tale from 87 there. So that was great. I'll talk about this one again because this was just fun. Warlock 5 talked about it just the last thing on our stream this afternoon when I kind of interrupted everybody and kept us there for another hour and a half. Warlock 5 is a kind of it's a comic from Aircell from the 80s, from the classic kind of black and white boom era, probably 86. Oh, 87, 88. Okay. So one of the books that when I've seen the covers, they really stand out to you. I'll show you kind of a sample there. Hopefully that picks up okay. So they reproduce a couple of the comics. So this graphic novel reprints the first 5 issues. I went looking online just to kind of get a sense of if there was another one. From what I could see, Commence Black Metal Growl. Exactly right. See, everything is linked. From what I can see, this is the only one that that came out that collected the stuff. Man, it's so much goddamn fun. This is probably my favorite character out of the series so far. But when you see these covers, sorry, I was focused on the covers here for one sec. We'll come back to that and we'll have a look at some more pages. It's so much fun. It's so ridiculous. It would make a fantastic, just kind of cheesy, ridiculous 80s movie. There's another one of the covers. So you see these covers in there, these kind of airbrushed, full color, really kind of fleshed out images. And I always, like when I do run across them, I don't run across them all the time. I've only got 2 single issues myself. But it's always something that jumps out when I see reference online or something like that. Hey, Lucky Blues, how you doing? So my point is that when you go, I never really knew what to expect when I went inside the comic, because oftentimes with this stuff, the interiors don't even come close. And in this case, I'm so glad that I was wrong. I showed this on the stream today, but there's one of the characters transforming into a dragon, and it's just fucking badass. And then setting a guy on fire. So the very loose story around it is there's these portals throughout space and time that they're kind of the guardians. There's these spirits that are coming through the portals, and this group of people that are kind of sworn enemies. This Warlock Five have to come together as a group, and that starts happening by the end of this issue. There's a good that back cover shows well, 6 of them there. No, that's 5. Sorry, there you go. I can count. And that's kind of where it gets left off in this first one. But I'll just show you a couple of the more interior pages. And the thing is, it is a little inconsistent. Again, not that stuff necessarily is horrible, but it's nowhere near as good as some of the other stuff that we've seen, right? So there is a tiny bit of inconsistency throughout it. Especially when he transforms into this goddamn dragon. Like, so much fun. There was another good scene here. So anyway, this punk rock chick is kind of my favorite so far out of the group, and there's one of the issues that kind of just focuses on her and aggressively relaxing. Hello. And she's just everything you would want in a punk rock girlfriend. Mohawk, machine guns, cigarettes, rock and roll, you know, pretty great. And there she is, getting ready to rock. Those are so good. Those images are so good, man. Home sweet home. She turns on her synths, let's rock, and then just goes wild. And what was that other? There was another good panel with her. The beer's here, scum. Let's do some serious damage and make enough noise to wake the dead. There she is there. Rocking out with her zombies. Anyway, highly recommended. I was saying in the chat earlier that it's the kind of book, here you go, and there's the kind of the first shot of kind of the spirits coming, breaking free from their dimension to take over. It's one of those that you can find the singles if you look in 50-cent and dollar bins. They are there. You may not find them all at once, but I would honestly recommend checking them out. And again, make sure that you get the issues, the early issues with the airbrushed covers. Once it goes later on, once it goes further, you see a real deterioration in the covers. I haven't even looked at the inside of those ones. I'm just familiar with this early stuff, and I can highly recommend this as a fun book. Here we have our kind of Doctor Strange-ish type of character. Every story has to have one. And this is where he kind of gets a little wild with the paneling on the pages, which is a lot of fun too. So yeah, lots of imagination. Some guys who just really loved what they were doing. This was a really fun read. I'm 100% going to be looking for more of the single issues to keep reading that. It was a blast. Another thing that I picked up, I found on Marketplace. I haven't started reading yet. I've been reading the Defenders Run, but this one somebody was selling for $10 online, so I picked it up. And the main reason I picked it up is because so it's the Defenders, the Essential edition, the black and white stuff. This has some of the early, like a Doctor Strange. It's got a couple of Submariner. It's got some Incredible Hulk stories as well too. So sort of before they became the Defenders, just some of the individual characters' books where it was sort of these early team ups before they kind of had their own title. So I don't have some of those other issues. So I think that was a fun one to have. And then, as I've talked about before with the Doctor Strange one, I do have the issues, but it's real nice to kind of have this real cheap black and white version of these stories as well too. Is there an Iron Man story in here too? No, maybe not. Iron Man appears in some of the stuff, but I thought there was an Iron Man issue as well too. So that's pretty good. I'll read that here and there, dip into that, probably bring it to the office. Another one I talked about this afternoon. We won't go too deep into it, other than saying that Trots and Bonnie by Sherry Fleniken. Really, I've been wanting this book for a little while since I heard it was coming out. I'd never read a ton of Trots and Bonnie. I'd seen the strips here and there. I remember, Comic Book Confidential, killer documentary. You can probably see it up on the shelf behind me there, over there. Boom. That VHS, especially here in Canada. That sucker played on CBC often, so I used to see it all the time, and I actually recorded it, and I had the tape for the longest time, but it's now since gone since we moved into this house, so thankfully I found that copy there. So this makes an appearance in that. Sherry Fleniken makes an appearance in there too, and she reads one of her strips. So this is from the New York Review of Comics. My comic guy couldn't get it for his shop, so I went to the bookstore, and my chiropractor is in the mall where McNally Robinson is, which is the local bookstore chain. Easily the best bookstore in town by a million miles. It's been around forever. They've toyed with having a couple of locations in town, but they never get enough business to kind of keep those ones open. And I think they have one open in, it's either Regina or Saskatoon in the province over in Saskatchewan. I can never remember which one though, which city. So they had one copy left. This was it. I grabbed that shit off the shelf without even thinking twice. Really, really nice book. They do an excellent job. Like, the binding is unbelievable, which we didn't talk about today. It opens really, really nicely, sits nice and flat. The pages are perfect. It's a fun book, man. It's a real fun book. One of the things I was talking about today is the title treatment for each of the strips. She does different lettering for each of them, and I think that's a real nice touch. So it kind of, it doesn't reprint every single strip that she did. Most of the stuff appeared in National Lampoon magazine. She spent some time kind of really editing stuff. Yeah, it's Either Did I, Gore Vidal, till this came out. She kind of handpicked and took some stuff out that she felt just wasn't very funny. And maybe she felt was more offensive. I don't really know what all of her thinking was. There's some colored ones as well too. But it's a really good section. And again, with these kind of things, it's really nice to see the progression of an artist, because it goes from her early days in the underground comics. She was paired up with the Air Pirates crew. And one of the comics I don't know if this was, excuse me, sorry. I don't know if this was the first appearance. But this was early stuff, Merton of the Movement. So, and right away, right off the bat, there's 4 strips that appear in this comic, and only 2 of them were reprinted in the book itself. So it was nice to kind of go back, and especially being kind of in that headspace to see the other, like a couple of more strips. And I'm tempted to pick up a couple of National Lampoon's magazines. It's another one that I do see out at the conventions and some of the comic shops, all pretty cheap. So I may pick up a couple of them just to give them a try. Who knows if I can find them cheap enough. So yeah, so she was associated with the Air Pirates crew. And I can't remember if it was in the book that I've read, because there's a little bit of an introduction and I've started reading the back matter, or if it was on an interview. There's a video on YouTube, this introduction by a cartoonist, Emily Flake. So Emily and Sherry sit together for, I don't know, about an hour or so. And you can find that on YouTube to talk about this book and talk about her time in comics and how she started. one of the things that they would do as the Air Pirates crew is they would try to mimic old comic strip artists from newspaper strip artists. And that was one of the kind of things that they would do as a group. They do these kind of comic jams where they would mimic an artist. And I meant to find the artist's name before I went live, and I forgot to do so. But that's kind of how she got her chops down, and it really makes sense when you're looking at it, because there's so much here that really feels like these vintage newspaper strips with her style, especially as it goes on. The later stuff, it's beautiful. She's got a beautiful line. Oh, the other thing that I didn't talk about today is you sort of get a little bit of a director's commentary for each of the strips. She writes just a little bit about what the strip was about, or just some story associated with that particular strip, what page the strip appears on. It's a really nice touch for stuff like this, if it's possible. I think this is a fantastic idea going forward for people putting out books like this. It's really nice to... It's not at the level of Chester Brown kind of back matter, but this is a really nice touch, I thought. I've read most of these already, and it's just nice to get a little bit of extra context with it, what her thinking was. Yeah, so I mean, just for example, Bonnie goes out to dinner, National Lampoon, 1978. Bonnie's parents made their first appearance here. I saw my family as a team of incompetent assholes whose goal in life was to break me like a rodeo pony. This comic was total wish fulfillment fantasy. My real battles did not turn out so well. So just a little commentary on the stuff that kind of crossed over to her real life and just whatever thoughts she had. So really nice touch. And then right at the back, we get a biography, and I think a Q&A. Yeah, a Q&A as well too. So along with some kind of preliminary sketches of stuff. So what was the price tag on this sucker? $40 American, $50 Canadian. A well spent $50. It's not the thickest of volumes, but seriously, this is a beautifully produced book. I'm very, very impressed, especially after the fiasco with some other books from some companies who should fucking know better, who still haven't returned my fucking emails, to pricks. Anyway, and then finally, I've started reading Asterios Polyp. I'm not very far into it, and I already know that this is going to be a fucking one of those books that sticks with me. It is stunning. It is gorgeous. The colors are gorgeous. The illustrations are gorgeous. The layouts are just beautiful, and everything about this so far, man, yeah, I just know this is going to be one that I dig. I love this page here. Sees this woman at the airport who's puked on herself and kind of scopes her out, and then goes to kind of ask her, to kind of see what she's like, and she waves him away, and he just walks off in silhouette there. Really nice page, beautiful colors. I love the transition of the colors from chapter to chapter. I love it when you turn a page and all you get is one white page and one small panel, just with him walking in the rain. Man, yeah, Gorvidal, Mind the Comics recommended it. Yes, he absolutely did. And so many other people. And so far, like I said, I can totally see why. I had to renew it. It was actually due back yesterday, but I'm just kind of diving into it now. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. Children of the Sea, the manga that I talked about last week, I finished that first volume. I immediately put number 2 and 3 on hold at the library. Somebody has them out right now, so when those come, really good. That first volume continued all the way through to be excellent. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that story goes. We're starting to get a little more a little more insight to our kind of main female protagonist there and how she kind of fits into this world. So that was a great story. And I think that's about it. 400 pages into Isagi Yojimbo, this big beefy tome, and I'm still really digging it. Again, like when I first talked about it, I was kind of comparing it a little bit to Zatoichi, and there's a two-part story here that really felt like a Zatoichi movie, as far as you're getting a bunch of stories that are really action driven, and then all of a sudden the pace completely slows down so we can get this almost love story between a princess and Zatoichi, a two-parter called Runaways. This was the last thing that I read just this afternoon, and I love this story. I think this has been my favorite story so far. We get a look at these other kind of bounty hunters, I guess, or these other Ronin who are going after these people so they can cash in, and we get a really nice one of them who's kind of been presented as an absolute prick throughout and really only out for himself. Of course, we see a little bit more of his character when we get to the end of part 1. So it feels like that's going to be a reoccurring character. And it's all kind of stemmed from, is it a two-parter? Yeah, two-parter. Or is it a three-parter? Maybe it's 3 parts actually. Sorry, excuse me. It's great. It's really, really good. It's a wandering samurai. It's beautiful black and white. So I'm still really digging this one. So almost done with that volume, and then we'll see what's next. Oh, Cthulhu Hand Luke. I didn't even know that there was a Zatoichi manga. Oh, great interview conversation between Mazzucchelli and Dash Shaw in the Comics Journal 300 when Asterios was released. Oh, fuck yeah. I bet you that's worth a look. Wonder if that's an issue that I have. Pardon me, sorry. I'll tell you what. I'm fucking hungry. Let's see. Comics Journal. Nah, shit. I don't have 300 on the list. AFPC. Thank you for the heads up on that one. It's on the list. So New York Review of Comics may have only started publishing comics with Santero's book just prior to the pandemic. Really? Hey, so that recently. Published him some great manga as well. I'm absolutely going to have to look into that some more then. Like I said, super impressed with just the book itself, just as a book. So, Cheech Wizard, Lefty Blues dropping some Gan Wilson and Cheech Wizard. Right on. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out. I'm hoping we're all back to normal. The chat next week should be on my channel. I don't think I have anything coming up on that Sunday. Oh boy, it's hard to remember. I don't think so though. I think that mini comic convention was on the Saturday. Maybe it was the 27th. I don't remember. So if everything goes well, we'll be back and it'll be on my channel on Sunday. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out. Ragamuffin, good job on the tags as usual. Gorvidal, it was fantastic to see you. Thanks for coming by. I'll send you an email. No Dune. Yeah, Ragamuffin, good reminder. I saw Dune. It was good. And it was good. I honestly, I didn't have the highest hopes for it. One of the things that I sort of agreed with people when we were getting stills of the movie, the costumes and everything looked really polished. I don't think they looked bad, but and again, this is a minor criticism watching the movie, because overall I was actually pretty blown away by it. There was some real formal aspects to it where those sort of kind of outfits made sense. Yes, they're royalty as well, but I would have liked to have seen things lived in a little bit more. It doesn't compare at all zesty, and that's actually funny that you bring that up because Baron Harkonnen, man, I wanted him to be that greasy fat fuck from Lynch's. This guy, yeah, he's just the big bad guy. His nephew looks like Darth Vader with his helmet off. So there was some things that I really missed from the Lynch version, but there was things about this one that they're different movies. For sure, they're different movies. There's no doubt about it. Lynch has his own vision. That vision was even taken away from him and then edited by De Laurentiis and crew and kind of just butchered, where I think even Lynch himself kind of said, no, that's no longer my movie, not even close, right? No, it is not better than Blade Runner 2049, because Blade Runner 2049, if there was ever a sequel that never should have been fucking made, that movie was incredible. Who in their right mind wanted a Blade Runner sequel? I sure as hell didn't. But if you're going to make one, motherfucker, that's a great movie. So no, it was not better than that. No way, no how. But this was fantastic. Gave us the updated shot of Brando. So, did you see it, Lefty Blues? Because fucking yes, yes to that when he's eating, and yeah, yes to that comment, absolutely. But honestly, a lot of the look of the movie, there was some stuff that was really dark, which made sense in the context of the movie. I can see how that kind of pissed people off. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked this kind of dreamy effect that the whole movie had, especially with the music. Especially with the music. There was Hans Zimmer did this great thing with the soundtrack, and it really kind of pulled in these religious elements that the story already had. He did one of the tracks with Klaus Schultz, who's kind of a krautrock legend. But the music was so engaging, and my wife was saying that for her at first it was a little off-putting. It didn't really resonate with her because it was kind of harsh at some points. I found it amazing because I think it fit, but it's different set of ears, right? So, but she did say that once she kind of got into it, she said, I couldn't imagine it with any other soundtrack. The soundtrack helped draw us in. And one of the things that I was saying this afternoon was, I don't know if it's partially because I haven't been to a movie theater for so long that no matter what I was going to be seeing, I would have been drawn in. We went to see it in 3D, and there were some parts where, I kid you not, I felt it was very meditative. There were scenes where I was really absorbed in the world, and I was really absorbed in the story, and the way the visuals kind of moved, I really enjoyed. Yeah, a little bit of Tangerine Dreams vibes ish, but not quite. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, not quite. Sort of. It's really hard to describe. There was a lot of use of vocals and this kind of high pitched female vocals as well to kind of offset some things. And there was a lot of like religious, almost ceremonial kind of chanting and that kind of music. There was a couple of scenes though. There's one where it's the raid on I can't believe I'm blanking on their names. The House Atreides, the raid on House Atreides, and the father gets up, and there's a lot of nice wide shots, and the landscape in the house where they are is beautiful, but it has this almost texture to the background. We see him coming down the stairs, and then we do an over the shoulder reverse, and you see a figure hunched down on the stairway. And man, like I have that frozen in my mind because it is painterly. The lighting effects, the background textures, everything about it. Another complaint that I had, but this is more a complaint about mainstream movies, period. Motherfucker, hold a goddamn two shot. Hold a fucking wide shot. We know that the Atreides ring is kind of their emblem, it's their seal, right? So we've seen a scene already with the father using that seal to seal the wax. We know what the fucking ring is. Cut to later on in the movie, it's the mother and son, a nice wide shot on the desert landscape, and he sees the ring. But instead of holding that two shot for the scene, of course, we need the intercut to show a close up of the ring to make sure that the knuckleheads in the back know exactly what we're looking at. And then that cuts into our kind of over the shoulder single shots and everything. And it just, again, it's nothing that spoils a movie for me by any stretch, but it disappoints me. I wish that people would learn to hold a shot. Not everything has to be cut to pieces. That said, though, there's a lot more kind of longer held shots in this movie than most kind of mainstream movies. It's not kind of pounding with edits, which I can get behind as well too. But there was so much in here that I wanted to see that scene. I wanted to stay on that setup for so long. Yeah, everyone's afraid of the long take. 100 fucking percent. Um, Honestly, I really hope that it happens, Gore Vidal, because once it was over, easily I would have sat for another 3 hours, 2.5 hours, and I would have watched the second one. It bothers me that they didn't film them both back to back. I get it. IMDb says that it's going to be out in 2023. I hope that that's the case. They only greenlit it like recently within the past week or so. So I'm assuming that's because this one has made a fair bit of change in the box office. So I'm hopeful that that the second one will get made, because I think he's doing a good thing. I think he's got it. Again, I mean, I would love to see a Jodorowsky version of Dune. I know that we're never going to, but at least we're going to see something, right? And then, of course, on the back of all this, which maybe we'll talk about for a minute here, since all of a sudden I'm chatting again, um, the announcement of Jodorowsky's The Incal potentially coming to the screen. Yeah, I hear you, Ragamuffin. Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, there's a time and place for that stuff for sure. And I don't mean to shit on that type of, because I enjoy it as well too. But in this one movie, man, stop playing to the nosebleed section. Play to the people that are paying attention, and just give some faith in your audience, right? So I'm excited for the In-Call movie. Not because I think that some of the commentary that I've been reading online, which of course you're going to see all sorts of shit, not because I think that that somehow justifies a good piece of art by making it into a movie that's automatically better than a comic. Fuck no. I love movies. I love comics. I love music. I love all this stuff. I like to see these different interpretations. 100% the in call is, for some people, maybe 95% about Mobius. For me, maybe 75% about Mobius. But that said, though, I would love to see how that would get transitioned into a movie. I'd love to see it in somebody else's eyes. I like that Jodorowsky is still alive, so he's had some input. He's had some input in picking who the director's going to be, acknowledging that he can't make it himself at his old age. Um, yeah, theaters will be gone. Who knows? Um, but I just really hope that it happens. You know what I mean? I really hope that they go for it. I'd be really curious. Again, it's this whole idea of CG and filmmaking, the where it is nowadays versus where it was. I feel like the palette and the amount of things that you could do with a story like that. Yeah, Fifth Element. Yes, absolutely. The things that you could do with a story like that nowadays makes me excited to see someone else's vision of it. So, I mean, I hope so. I really hope so. Check out Holy Motors on Tubi for free. What is Holy Motors there, Lefty? Great film, will blow your mind. That'll go up on the screen there. Yeah, I can't imagine the in-call pitch. So you know this Dune? I was gonna do Dune, and then I didn't do Dune, and we put all our energy into the in-call. Dune is gonna make a lot of money. You need to make this movie. There's your pitch. You know what I mean? That's all that it was. I'm sure that it was based on the hype of what Dune was getting. That was a real gem. Um, So I really liked it. And again, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure what I was going to walk into. I knew I wanted to see it. Even when I saw the trailer for Dune, I still wasn't really blown away, to be honest. I didn't. That's right. Yeah. Taika Waititi. Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Who did what Jojo Rabbit and the Thor movie, amongst other stuff. But even on seeing the Dune trailer, I just wasn't sold on it. Even at that point, it just didn't look like it had that impact. But I'm glad that I was wrong. I loved it. There was like 6 or 8 other people in the theater when we went to see it. We went on Friday night, but we went to like the 6:45 show, the 3D one at 6:45. So I didn't feel like I was crammed in. And honestly, even on a Friday night when we came out of the movie, the theater was so empty. In general, I think that there's still a lot of people that don't want to that don't want to that don't want to go into theaters. So that's good for a guy like me who's jonesing to go back to the theaters. So it's the second one we've seen. We're probably going to go see the what is it? What's the Marvel one that's coming out? Not Elementals, is it? We're probably going to go see that. Whatever it's called, that's what we're going to go and see. Um, yeah, it's got to be Elementals, right? Anyway, some comic fan I am. Poser. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Dune. And go for it, man. And a buddy of mine was saying that when you see Eternals, thank you very much. Thanks, Lefty. When you see things like um, ink all getting made, when you see things like all of this other weird shit that's kind of these indie kind of movies gonna hit the screen, like the Usagi stuff, and it doesn't surprise me. Nothing will surprise me anymore if they're gonna release any sort of weird 80s independent comic and make a movie out of it. I wouldn't be shocked at this point. um it's ripe for the big screen. I'm starting to lose track of what I'm saying, and my words aren't coming out. So let's call it a night. Thanks very much, everybody. It's nice to see you all. I do miss this, so I'm really looking forward to next week's chat, because I do miss talking to all of you and just talking about comics and talking about stuff we've enjoyed the past week. So we'll see you on Sunday, probably kind of the usual time. I think they started about a half an hour later, because I'm not sure how the time zones work for everybody. We're now in our new time zone, and maybe we'll stay here. That would be great. So thanks very much. Yeah, blood sugar dropping. Let's go eat some chocolate bars later.